This is Gerardo Del Real with Resource Stock Digest. Joining me today is the newly appointed CEO of Labrador Uranium, Mr. John Jentz. John, it is an absolute pleasure to have you on. How are you today?
Gerardo, I'm terrific. How are you doing today?
I am well. Thank you so much for asking. Let's get right to it. I joked off air a bit that you and I would likely be chatting frequently because you have yourself a pretty busy 2023 ahead of you. You just completed a $12.6 million financing. The treasury is robust. You also just announced a transformational acquisition that obviously paves the way for a ton of drilling in 2023. So first and foremost, can you give us a bit on your background for those that may not be familiar with your extensive history?
Yep, for sure, Gerardo, I can. I've been about 20 years in the mining business, about 15 of that as a banker and senior banker in the mining industry, serving a variety of clients, primarily based in Toronto, but also in New York. And then I went to the dark side, started joining some boards. North American Palladium, for anyone who knows the Palladium game, that was a mine called Lac Brazil in Thunder Bay in Ontario. That was sold to the South Africans 2 years ago for $1 billion, actually, if you can believe that. And a good client of mine was a company called Semco, a gold company based in West Africa. And, I was the banker there for 10 years. And then I joined them in the corporate development strategy role. And, again, 2 years ago, we sold the company for $1.6 billion to Endeavor Finance. Endeavor, if people know that name.
Absolutely. Well, listen, that brings us to Labrador, right? We've seen a consolidation in the uranium sector. I think there's a huge disconnect right now between the quality equities like Labrador and the uranium spot price, which has actually had, a pretty good week and a half or two and actually has had, a pretty decent year thus far, especially if we're looking the last 12 months. Give me your thoughts with your capital markets experience. Give me your thoughts on Labrador and unlocking the value that I see and I know a lot of long-term shareholders see.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Labrador these days is the original properties were based in Labrador, hence the name Labrador Uranium, and those are exciting properties. It may be even more exciting is the property that we were just recently acquiring. It should close the end of next month, about a month from now. Finally, even though the financing's closed, called Angelac, and it is a high-grade, structurally controlled uranium deposit in a territory in Canada called Nunavut. And for those that don't know Nunavut, that's where Agnico's 2 or 3 big mines are called Meliadine and Meadowbank. So although it is in the Arctic North, you can build mines, you can operate there. It's a place you can do business, and the local Inuit are very receptive and pro-mining and pro-uranium.
So let's talk 2023 catalyst. What do you envision here? You obviously have a treasury that, as I mentioned, is robust with the closing of that financing. So what's next?
Yeah, in Labrador, we're going to be spending approximately $7 million, and that's going to be spent, about half of that is going to be on an airborne radiometric survey. We just finally acquired a few more properties on the belt. Now the belt stretches approximately 125 kilometers, and that belt has never been under the same ownership group, and therefore the survey has not been flown over the entire property with different landowners. So what we'll be looking for there is 2 things. One is seeing where our existing uranium resources are and looking for new ones, obviously. And secondly, internally we've come to the conclusion that the gravity part of the survey should light up, if it's there in the area, IOCG potential, iron oxide, copper gold potential, because that's the area, and that should show up great in mag. So we're sort of looking for that. We're excited. That should start in June. So we'll have that in the summer sometime. And otherwise, we're going to continue to expand our existing resources in the area. That's in Labrador and in Nunavut. We are going to spend around $8 million approximately. Again, we have all the money in the bank. And what we're doing here, again, we're doing a survey. And the survey, the real goal of the survey, this is a really low survey. They fly this thing about 10 meters to the ground. It's really to complement the exploration techniques. And the good thing about the property, as I said, in terms of being structurally controlled, how you find the uranium is, first of all, you fly a survey. The electromagnetics, it lights up these conductors, and the conductors are radioactive, so they light up on a graph, but they don't necessarily contain uranium. So what you have to do is you have to follow up where you think those conductors are from the map, do it with uranium in soil, some soil enzyme leaching. You have to do that on the ground by hand. You can't fly it in a plane or a helicopter. So it's a little bit manual, a little bit time consuming. The hope of our new survey is we can avoid that second part, and we can do it from a plane. So if we can, it's just going to speed everything up a lot. And what we're looking for there is the existing resource is on a trend they call the LAC 50 trend. It's about 5 kilometers. The existing resource is on 5 kilometers of the 12 kilometers. And it's a pretty simple plan. We're just going to try and expand a long strike. The deposit goes from surface down 300 meters. We're not too deep at this point. It goes deeper, but we're not going there yet. Basically, just to expand the long strike and build the resource and demonstrate to people, the grade is 0.69. That's world class for anyone that knows uranium. And our challenge, where people will see the value, is if we can expand the resource from its existing 43 million pounds, start growing it, and eventually grow it towards 100 million pounds. That's when everyone's going to take notice.
Absolutely. Multiple projects, multiple jurisdictions. It sounds like we have a shot at discoveries with exposure to multiple commodities. Did I hear that correct, John?
Yeah. That's one of the exciting things is, I know we're uranium, and we've got some interesting byproducts on that. We've got some molybdenum and some vanadium, which are exciting. The molybdenum is about 10 million pounds. It's not insignificant. It's a decent kicker, but we are excited to see about this IOCG potential because these things are big. Olympic Dam in Australia would be a great example. That's an IOCG. They tend to be big, and in that part of the world, we've got a lot of land, but it is remote, so you need the size and the grade similar to Voisey's Bay. Voisey's Bay is in Labrador. We'd be looking for something on a very fairly large scale, which, if we found it, wouldn't necessarily be a project for us because it would be very big, but it would be a super exciting discovery that we're going to be looking for.
If you're going to drill for discoveries, you may as well drill for big ones, right? John, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Anything to add to that?
No, that covers it. We're fully funded. We're super excited, and we're going to walk the news slow this summer and going into Q3, Q4.
Looking forward to a busy year. Thanks again for your time.
Gerardo, thanks so much.
Hey everybody, Gerardo Del Real here. If you're enjoying the content that you just saw, you can let us know in 3 simple steps. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and please share across your network and on social media. Take care, everybody.